Usahawan muda disaran guna wang simpanan sendiri untuk memulakan perniagaan mereka. Ketua Pegawai Eksekutif Institut Kewangan Asia Dr. Raymond Madden turut menasihati usahawan muda agar memulakan perniagaan secara kecil-kecilan bagi meminimumkan risiko perniagaan. Ini memandangkan satu daripada dua usahawan berdepan kegagalan dalam tahun pertama perniagaan mereka.
Oleh itu, Dr. Madden menegaskan penting bagi usahawan muda menguruskan risiko bagi membolehkan mereka kembali bangkit sekiranya berdepan kegagalan dalam perniagaan.
I think young entrepreneurs should start small, walk before they can run, with the view that as things develop, then they can go to formalised microfinance institutions to get small, medium enterprise funding. Obviously, banks have to weigh up risks, as entrepreneurs do when they take the money from banks. And I think it's important that there's a trust relationship that builds between the financial institution and the individual entrepreneur, so money can be repaid, terms can be re-examined if there is a need to do so.
Ketika ini, hanya 20% usahawan tempatan menggunakan wang simpanan sendiri untuk memulakan perniagaan dan selebihnya menggunakan dana yang disediakan kerajaan atau pembiayaan bank. Walaupun Malaysia mempunyai pelbagai sumber pembiayaan, jelas Dr. Madden, golongan usahawan harus berani mengambil risiko menggunakan simpanan sendiri sebelum memohon pinjaman dari bank. Ini kerana ketika ini institusi keuangan hanya menyediakan keuangan dan bukan sokongan dari segi pembinaan kapasiti, pengurusan tunai dan perancangan perniagaan. Ketika ini hanya beberapa institusi keuangan seperti Amanah Ikhtiar Malaysia yang menyediakan sistem sokongan kepada usahawan dalam memastikan usahawan tersebut berjaya dalam perniagaan. Dr. Madden ditemui selepas menyertai sesi forum bertajuk Pengurusan Keuangan dan Risiko sempena Forum Ekonomi Islam Dunia kali ke-8 di Johor Bahru.
Ekonomi Islam di seluruh dunia perlu memanfaatkan kelebihan yang disumbang peningkatan golongan kelas pertengahan bagi mengukuhkan ekonomi negara. Menurut pengerusi Forum Institusi Rasmi Monetary dan Kewangan United Kingdom (OMFIF) David Marsh, peningkatan saiz golongan kelas pertengahan akan membantu meningkatkan kuasa beli pengguna negara berkenaan.
Jelas Marsh, kebanyakan ekonomi Islam dunia mula menyaksikan peralihan penduduknya daripada sebuah warga yang berjimat cermat kepada warga pengguna. Trend ini sekaligus akan meningkatkan permintaan pembeli dan seterusnya menyokong ekonomi negara. Tambah beliau, di dalam mencapai status negara Islam maju, pemimpin perlu memastikan tadbir urus ekonomi adalah kukuh, dinamik dan konstruktif. Ini termasuk menjalankan reformasi berstruktur dari pelbagai sudut.
But in fact, those countries do need to take market structuring and structural reforms are needed, I think, in all those places so that they can really realise the benefits of the dynamic market economy.
Tanbah Marsh, negara Islam pada masa sama juga boleh mewujudkan mekanisme sokongan dalaman melalui pengalaman keterbukaan ekonomi sesama sendiri.
Laporan Forum Ekonomi Islam Dunia ke-8 di Johor Bahru untuk perkembangan lanjut kita bersama wartawan Serina Manikam.
Baiklah, terima kasih rakan sekerja di studio, dan pada jam 9 pagi tadi telah pun bermula Forum Keusahawanan Wanita bagi WIF edisi ke-8 ini, dan ia akan berlangsung sehingga jam 1 tengah hari nanti, dan antara sesi yang setelah berlangsung dan akan berlangsung nanti adalah panel CEO usahawan wanita, inovasi perniagaan wanita di dalam teknologi, dan juga akhir sekali adalah sesi dialog. Dan bersama saya ketika ini adalah salah seorang personality bagi Forum Keusahawanan Wanita WIF ini, iaitu Naib Presiden Ogilvy Nur, Shelina Jam Muhammad. Well, hi, I'm Miss Shelina, and it's truly a pleasure meeting you here at the WIF Forum. And Miss Shelina, being a writer and advocate yourself in women's rights, and if we look at previously, the more conventional challenges faced by women in the workforce are, for example, gender discrimination, discrimination towards access of information, and also a glass ceiling effect, if I would say. And but how about the challenges faced by modern women today?
I think some of the challenges are as you've outlined. So the idea that structures are still discriminating because they're women, but there are also additional issues. Women still feel very strongly the responsibility for their families. They can find it very difficult to get childcare or that's affordable childcare. And women still have an aspiration that they want to work flexibly so they can balance their responsibilities for family alongside having a corporate role.
And if we're looking at the ecosystem in Islamic countries, for example, do you think that we're heading towards the level playing field for women in the workforce?
I think it's definitely changing. So, for example, we see bigger macro trends like education. So women are becoming more educated, sometimes more than their male peers, which is really important. They're entering the workforce. They're getting married later, which also gives them the opportunity to enter the workforce and establish themselves. So it's some of these later challenges of balancing their family with their work life, which is a challenge for women everywhere that they're going to start to encounter.
And having that said, do you think that women around the world, not only Islamic countries, actually being supplied with the right platform for them to gain access to also eradicate this sort of inequality?
I think there's a great debate about whether it's now the time for positive action towards women or whether actually women have enough resources to excel in the workplace. And I think one of the challenges is that people think that women have achieved parity when in fact they haven't. So there are still problems of gender pay equity, about reaching board levels. And if we look at things like the FTSE 500 companies, there are so few women at board level. So I think firstly we need to overcome the idea that parity has been achieved and actually get more women further up the ladder.
And if you look at the more prosperous Islamic countries such as Malaysia, I believe that the ecosystem is there for women to empower themselves, and facilities and everything is also there. But what about when it comes to the women themselves? How should they equip themselves and empower themselves to be more successful businesswomen or entrepreneurs?
I think one of the really important things is for women to believe that they have something unique and valuable to offer the marketplace, and to understand that they have their own way of doing things. So it's that belief and confidence that's really important, and the idea that they can go out and access resources and that they shouldn't be worried about social convention. All of these in terms of inner self-empowerment are really vital to grabbing the opportunities out there.
And if we look at organizations and whatnot, do you think that they're doing enough to increase women's participation in the board representations?
I don't think they are. I think they can certainly do a lot more, and we were talking about some of the issues around flexibility, around childcare, but also understanding that the way that women are often perceived in the boardroom comes with a certain discrimination built into it. So women are often referred to in ways such as hysterical or ruthless, which wouldn't be applied in the same way to men, and we need to start to extract that gender bias from the way we perceive men and women in the workplace.
And what should be done in order to remove all those discrimination?
Well, I think part of it is getting more women into the workplace so it becomes much more natural to see women around. I think there's still a sense that it's a little bit unusual to see women there, and also starting to introduce those family-friendly policies so that women can be more flexible in the workplace.
And do we still see a huge gap in terms of discrimination among the more prosperous Islamic country and the ones that are not so, with a smaller economy, I would say?
I think one of the underlying challenges for the more prosperous versus less prosperous Muslim countries is simply for everybody in less prosperous countries to actually be able to get the kind of education, opportunity, investment that they need. Women suffer a double whammy because they're part of that lack of opportunity, and on top of that they suffer the discrimination against women.
Okay, thank you very much, Shalina, on sharing your thoughts on this issue, and again, it's really a pleasure meeting you here today. Dan itu sebentar tadi adalah Naib Presiden Ogilvino Shalina Jah Mohamad, dan nampaknya itu saja laporan saya daripada Pusat Konvensyen Antarabangsa Persada di Johor Bahru ini, dan kita kembali ke studio.
Terima kasih Serina. Begitu tadi ulasan wartawan Surinam Manikem dari Forum WIEF yang berlangsung di Johor Bahru.